No word on the president's ministerial list, as his media aide debunks rumors of a purported list sent to the National Assembly. But still, questions abound. Has it been sent? Is it in transit? And whose names are on it? And principal officers emerge in the Senate as the National Assembly resumes from a 2-week break. Hello everyone and welcome. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I am Kayode Okikiolu. We begin tonight with our monitoring of activities as the nation eagerly anticipates the formation of the president's cabinet. It is now 34 days since the inauguration of the government for a second term in office, and we await the unveiling of the president's ministerial appointments. The 9th National Assembly has officially resumed, and some of its principal officers have also emerged. The Senate President, Senator Ahmed Lawan, read out the names in plenary earlier today. The Senate has also constituted an ad hoc committee to prepare its legislative agenda within 2 weeks. So let's find out who made the list.
Principal officers of the Senate, which are as follows. Senate Leader Abdullahi Abubakar Yahaya, Deputy Senate Leader Boniface Robert Ajayi, Chief Whip Dr. Oju Uzo Kalu, and Deputy Chief Whip Abdullahi Aliyu Sabi. Senate Minority Leader Senator Abaribe, Deputy Senate Minority Leader Senator Emmanuel Boacha, Senate Minority Whip Senator Philip Aduda, and Deputy Senate Minority Whip Senator Sahabiau.
So there you have it. Well, let's take a look at some of the principal officers again and take a look at the areas they are from. So there you have it. Senator Yahaya Abdullahi is a majority leader. He's from Kebbi, that's northwest. The deputy majority leader is Senator Ajayi Boniface from Ondo. That's, of course, in the southwest. And Senator Oju Uzo Kalu was named as the chief whip. Is from Abia State, that's southeast, while the deputy chief whip is Senator Sabi Abdullahi from Niger, that's north central. Others are Senator Einaya Abaribe, the minority leader from Abia, that's southeast. Senator Emmanuel Boacha is a deputy minority leader from the northeast, while Senator Philip Aduda is a minority whip from FCT as a north central, with Senator Sahabi Yao as a deputy minority whip. He's from Zamfara State, that's the northwest. Now, this was not the only list Nigerians were expecting at the National Assembly today. So a lot of people were understandably disappointed when there was no word on perhaps the most anticipated list of the year. I'm talking about the ministerial list. Now, some decided to take advantage of the wait and began to spread word that the list has been to the National Assembly. Some others even quoted the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity as saying that the list has been sent. But this, of course, turned out to be false, as Mr. Garaba Shehu came out to debunk the rumors. This is what he tweeted. Let's show you what he tweeted earlier in the day. Now, you see, the third line says, "I have no breaking news on the appointment of ministers because I have not been briefed about it. Ignore the reports they are attributing to me, please." End of quote. So still no word yet. Well, we have more trending political stories for you at this hour. Here's our political roundup.
Ahead of the November 16, 2019 governorship election in Bayelsa and Kogi states, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has expressed concerns over the safety of INEC officials, properties, and the sanctity of the electoral process. He says there's a need for electoral offenders to be prosecuted swiftly in order to serve as a deterrent to others.
The politicians in Bayelsa and Kogi must shed off the toga of political violence associated with the conduct of elections in the two states.
Meanwhile, as federal lawmakers officially resume their legislative duties in the 9th Assembly, a group of young people under the aegis of Advocates for Integrity in Leadership are calling on the lawmakers to set and protect a national value system that will positively project Nigeria's image home and abroad. They are appealing to members of the 9th Assembly to be good ambassadors and role model for young people as they commence their legislative duties by ensuring that honesty, integrity, and transparency drive their activities at the National Assembly.
If we can address the value system in Nigeria, we have solved at least 90% of our problems.
The Hope Democratic Party and its presidential candidate, Mr. Ambrose Oworu, have informed the Presidential Election Tribunal that it intends to call only 2 witnesses to prove its petition against the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari in the February 23rd elections. Counsel to the HDP and Mr. Oworu, Mr. Chukwu Noyerem Ojukwu, made this known shortly after he adopted the petitioner's pre-hearing information sheet filed on the 4th of May 2019. He further told the tribunal, headed by Justice Mohammed Garuba, that the party would need 2 days to prove its petition against the return of President Buhari.
Now, for over a week now, one word has sort of dominated discussions on the nation's polity. No, it's not the ministerial list. It is the word Ruga. Just 4 letters. I mean, how complicated can it get? Well, if you've been following the conversation, you must have seen varying opinions and even strong reactions to Ruga. Now, ever since the report emerged last week about the federal government's plan to set up settlements for herders across 12 states as pilots, known as Ruga, a lot has been said. The federal government on its part says it is merely a rural settlement in which animal farmers and not just cattle herders will be settled in an organized place with provision of necessary and adequate basic amenities. But there has been so much backlash across the country from individuals to political parties and even ethnic groups. So for one more day, we analyze the facts. The Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Dr. Garba Abari, joins us on the program tonight, as well as Dr. Pogus Bitrus, the President of the Middle Belt Forum. Thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. Now, I'd like us to begin from the National Assembly. Now, we understand that principal officers have emerged in the National Assembly. So this is for Dr. Pogo Bitrus. In the light of this emergence, as the President of the Middle Belt Forum, do you think that this composition, are you satisfied with the composition, first of all, of the principal officers in the National Assembly?
The National Assembly has prerogative and right to elect their principal officers. That is what the Constitution provides. And someone outside the National Assembly would only accept and wish them well, not to worry about how they are composed. So if the senators in the long run decided on those who should represent them, we have no quarrel with it.
All right. So the reason I ask is because there are some groups that have said we need more representation. We need to have representation amongst principal officers. So Dr. Abari, I'd like to take have your opinion on this. What do you have to say to groups and regions that are saying we do not get enough representation in the National Assembly? What do you have to say to them?
Well, I don't think there is much to say to them. They have enough representation by way of the representatives they have sent to the 2 chambers of the National Assembly, the House of Representatives and the Senate. What the Senate leadership comprises of is purely the prerogative of the Senate or the House of Representatives and that of the political parties from where such offices are supposed to come. And I think to a very large extent the political parties and the Senate themselves and the House of Representatives, as it were, have gone by what the Constitution and the Constitution says and what their operational rules and the guidelines also have mandated them to do. So if there is any call by anybody from any part of the country that they need more representation, I don't think there is any more representation that they will come more than what they already have by way of their elected representatives.
All right. So Dr. Abari, let's now get into the major topic for tonight. This has dominated discussions in the country. Now, the President's media aide last night said that this controversy that Ruga settlement has generated is mainly because people are not enlightened. And people started asking, Was there any sort of enlightenment before this announcement was made? And people were wondering, did we miss this enlightenment? So from the National Orientation Agency, was there any enlightenment?
First and foremost, let me say that the issue that is trending at the moment is an issue that affects each and every Nigerian, because it is something that has to do with what we all as Nigerians agree is a fundamental national problem, the issue of the herders and the farmers' clashes. It's something which had existed since time immemorial, but the magnitude of which we have not seen like the one we have seen in the last 3, 4, 5 to 6 years. And we all agree, therefore, that we have a very big national problem in our hands. Now, government came and went. This particular government came and this issue escalated. And we were all concerned as a people and as a nation. Naturally, what is expected is for us actually to have a look at these problems and begin to develop homespun, local ways, Nigerian own ways, community own ways, cultural own ways of addressing this fundamental national problem.
Okay, Dr. Abari, if I may step in now. The
when
question
the government
is,
came up with the issue,
Dr. Abari, a moment, please. The question now is that I mentioned that the president's media aide said that a lot of people are not enlightened. That's why there's a lot of controversy. I mean, it sort of crept on a lot of people. I mean, you sleep, and next day you wake up and you hear about Ruga. So the question is, was there any form of enlightenment for Nigerians, such that when they heard the news, they'll be like, oh, okay, we've heard about this, we know what it means, so no big deal?
It has been something which has been, it has been an ongoing process. We started with the cattle colonies, which was outrightly rejected roundly by a group of people from different parts of the country.
All right.
Then the issue of ranching came up, and then that also actually was like a stopgap measure. So under the government policy of food security, a committee of the presidency, or at least a committee of the National Economic Council, came up with the Ruga as one of our locally generated issues or strategies of addressing the hardest farmers' clash.
All right, so Dr. Barry, let's speak with Dr. Pogo Bitrus for a moment. I will get back to these issues, but I need Dr. Pogo Bitrus to respond briefly. Now, you have listened to the head of the National Orientation Agency, and I'd like to take you up on this. Is the issue enlightenment, the controversy that has been generated, is it because there wasn't enough enlightenment, or there's something more to this?
One, there isn't enough enlightenment. Two, the whole program is suspect. Suspect because we remember there was this effort to pass Inland Waterways Bill, which didn't see the light of the day. Then we came to the cattle colonies, or whatever it's called. Whether you call it Ruga, we've known what is called Ruga in the north, for example, and we've stayed with Fulani. Where they live is called Ruga. But to say that nobody is against keeping our Fulani in making them sedentary, not nomadic, moving all over the place. But the issue is, when you start to change policy and then government starts speaking on both sides of the mouth, the Mieti Allah secretary saying that the vice president, has a no about the Ruga thing, and then somebody in the vice president's office coming to say, hey, what we are doing is something different. It's something to do with the food security. Then you come and hear, yes, this thing is voluntary, and yet states who have outrightly rejected having this thing imposed on them, because we've seen signboards in Benue, Taraba, and other places. So there is something sinister about the whole thing.
All right, so Dr. Pogo Bitrus, we'll need to go on a break now. I'll come back to you so you can land, but In a moment, there's been varying reactions. I mean, you heard Dr. Pogo Bitrus saying there's probably something more going on. And the government says, no, this is meant to sort a lot of issues. We'll continue with the conversation when we return. Stay with us. So let's get back to the conversation tonight. We're still discussing the controversies that have been generated by the announcement of a government as it concerns the Ruga settlement across 12 states. It's meant to be piloted across 12 states in the country. And if you've been following the discussion, you'll see that a lot of controversy has been generated. So we'll try to clear the air yet again tonight. We have the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Dr. Garba Abari, and Dr. Pogos Bitrus, the National President of the Middle Belt Forum, joining us in Abuja. Thank you so much for your patience. Now, Dr. Pogo Bitrus, I'd like you to land on what you were saying earlier. And then you also mentioned that there's a certain agenda to take over lands. In fact, reports emerged in the media earlier today about your group saying there's an agenda to take over land and what have you. Do you have proof?
Yeah, I can't hear you again, but if you can hear me. The truth remains that at any given time, a large proportion of herders roaming around in the country are foreign. Some of them are from Niger, Chad, Mali, Senegal, Cameroon, and all other places. We have come to understand that majority of the attacks we get are not from our local Fulani. We've lived with our local Fulani. We know how to resolve issues when we have conflict. A Fulani cattle may roam into somebody's farm, destroy it, or do whatever it is. It doesn't even go to the village head sometimes. The ward head resolves such issues. If the Fulani find that he's guilty, he pays. We have such arrangement of coexistence, and it has been existing for a long time. Okay. But these foreign Fulani, with whoever it is, whether it is ISWAP, whatever, they are the ones we believe are attacking our people. Now, to say you are now going to settle these people, irrespective of who they are, as Fulani, through whether it is Ruga or colony or whatever, the fact that it is secluded for herders, it is the same with colony. Okay. People who have been attacked in the past will see it as a suspect. All right. Kind of Dr. Pogo Bitrus, let's quickly get Dr. Abari's response. I apologize for cutting you short. Now, Dr. Abari, the National Orientation Agency's mandate is to accurately and adequately inform citizens to act in ways that promote peace, harmony, and national development. And earlier, I asked you if there was some form of, enlightenment. Let people know that this is what this settlement is about. This is what to expect. Perhaps there's no cause for alarm. So what has your agency done to ensure this?
Hello?
Dr. Abari, if can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Did you get the question?
If you are here, hello?
Yes, did you get the question, please?
Can you come out again?
Okay, so I talked about your agency's mandate, which is to accurately and adequately inform Nigerians, citizens of Nigeria, to act in ways that promote peace, harmony, and national development. So the question is, has there been any form of enlightenment, which I asked earlier, such that people would receive this in a better way?
Under the National Orientation Agency, communicating government policies, programs, and activities, the National Orientation Agency is embarking on this ongoing process, because I call it an ongoing process because it is still a pilot project. It is pilot, as the federal government has said, and the sensitization has commenced. What has not commenced, or what had not been done before the actual announcement was made, is the fact that we were not sure when it would take off, because government had not really spoken about that. But we know that there is a process, there is a policy that is coming on board, and the policy has been unveiled. The policy has been unveiled on a pilot basis by 12 states that have already committed themselves to doing. And sensitization is actually going as the pilot project is also being implemented. Don't forget that the issue of public enlightenment is something which will not only happen on the media, but will also use, the National Orientation Agency will use all its other platforms through local government assembly, engagement with relevant stakeholders, engagement with civil society, and of course, all those that are supposed to be directly or indirectly affected, as we had done in Benue State when the open anti-grazing law was enacted. So the information, or what you call massive information and centralization that you are talking about, is something which has already started, and it will continue for as long as this policy is on the table.
Okay, Dr. Abari, I actually went through your social media platform. I'm talking about Twitter, and I tried to look through the last few days if there's anything that has been said about the Ruga settlement. And I saw other things, but I didn't see anything about the Ruga. So we still expect to see that enlightenment. But Dr. Pogo Bitrus, rather. Now, a statement was credited to the Middle Belt Forum, and this is what the paper says. It says that your forum accused the government of engaging in the vain pursuit of ethnic chauvinistic agenda, which is aimed at enthroning the supremacy of one group over others as an official state policy. With a statement like this, don't you think there's a possibility you might heat the polity unnecessarily?
You see, when we are a pressure group, and as a pressure group, we would want to mention the thing as it is, so that government will see the sensitivity in whatever policy, because people have not been carried along. To me, this is the policy actually is under a rush type of policy that just came out without proper planning. If government had engaged all interested groups, I think this thing wouldn't have happened. Either government would have said, oh, we understand the suspicion that people have towards this policy, and therefore will do something that is more people-friendly. Nobody within the Middle Belt is against ranching. We believe every Fulani man who is a Nigerian, not all these people roaming around in the country who are not Nigerians, have the equal rights with other Nigerians. And they can acquire land and then ranch their cattle so that they don't just move around. Government can have policies of training them so that they can know modern techniques of ranching and animal husbandry.
I think before we go, we would like to just refer to Dr. Abari and get his final thoughts on this in about 30 seconds, if we may, because of our time. So what are your final thoughts, Dr. Abari?
Yes.
So please give us your final thoughts on this. We have a few seconds to close.
Okay, my final thought on it is that this is actually government's own way of addressing a problem which all of us as a nation have agreed to be a fundamental problem that affects everybody. And we need definitely to consult much more than we are doing now. And definitely for the states that have already indicated interests to partake in this program, let government continue, and we will continue to synthesize and send out all the information that citizens are expected to know and to be aware of. But my thought is that this is a program for which government needs to be assisted, needs to be supported, because it is one of the first major steps that is being taken consciously to address a fundamental national security problem.
Thank you so much. I've been speaking with the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Dr. Garba Bari, as well as Dr. Pogo Bitrus, the National President of the Middle Belt Forum. They've been sharing their thoughts on the proposed settlement, the Ruga settlement in the country. Well, that's so much we can take on the program tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Kaya Dilkikiri.